So the internet is in shambles right now because everybody this week is expecting the Marvel Rivals Season 5 trailer, and Netease has had radio silence all week. A lot of people are thinking that the season might be getting delayed. Let's talk about it. YouTube, what's going on, man? It's Father Dark here on a Friday evening. I hope everybody has had a great week. If you haven't, I'm sorry to hear about that, but it is Friday. So if you're not excited about it, I recommend you go ahead and get excited about it. Now, like I talked about in the intro, usually what happens is about a week and a half out from the new season starting, which to my understanding is the 14th, when the season was supposed to be starting. And they just made this tweet like just a couple of days ago. So like I said, if I'm wrong in the comments, you can let me know, though. Feel free to do that like you guys always do. But it's my understanding it's supposed to be releasing on Friday. Now, usually, like I said, what they do is they go ahead and drop that trailer, the initial trailer. Then they kind of do like a dev talk where they talk about some changes that they're making, things they might do in the future, etc. They allow the content creators to get early access for the weekend prior where they can play it and they can kind of show us what's going on, the new map, the new character, et cetera, et cetera. And obviously we haven't gotten that. Now, all week long, people on the internet just been crashing out every day. Everybody's like, yo, I'm awake. I got my sleep last night. I ate my Wheaties and stuff like that, which for those of you that don't know, Wheaties is supposed to be the breakfast of champions. I know that might be a little bit before some of you all's time. Nonetheless, though, every day, like I said, we've had radio silence, and now people are starting to speculate that the season might be getting delayed. Now, the thing is that this wouldn't be the first, nor would I assume that it would be the last. This is something that realistically happens with live service games, meaning games like Fortnite, Apex, Warzone, Marvel Rivals, things like that, where these are games that update every couple of months. They're free to play games. And the whole thing is like the thing that draws us in is the content and stuff, and the fact that they constantly are pumping it out, which is different from games where, you know, you buy the game and then you just kind of get updates sporadically and then they make a second game, et cetera, right? So like I said, this isn't anything this new. There's been numerous times when I played games like Fortnite or Warzone or anything like that where they would, maybe at the last minute they realize that there's something that they didn't catch, like a groundbreaking bug or, something like that, where it's a situation, maybe it's like a map change or something that they made and people are falling through the map, or just a plethora of different things that could be going on and happening. Now, the thing is that I don't personally think that's what's going on. Usually they would kind of say something if that was the case, but it could be, though. And like I said, when people don't know what's going on with situations, it's just kind of a natural thing. We do it all the time, where when we don't know what's going on with something, human beings just tend to naturally assume the worst. And I think that's just something we kind of do to like kind of protect ourselves mentally, where we kind of jump to the worst case scenario. So the event that actually is what's happening, we're not necessarily kind of like caught off guard. Kind of the same reason why we all have like the same nightmares, where you go to give a speech and you're not wearing anything, or your teeth fall out or your hair fall out or something. These are actually things that our brain does to kind of, it's almost like a training session, where it's like, what would you do in this worst case scenario, right? Well, a lot of us all kind of have these same reoccurring nightmares and stuff like that. When we don't know exactly what's going on, we're usually going to just jump to conclusions, and usually those are going to be the worst case scenarios. And like I said, there's a lot of people that are thinking that the season might be delayed. I haven't heard anything that realistically from anybody that's credible. Another thing that happens too around this time of I'd say the year, but really the season, when we're coming up on the next season, you always have these people that jump in and say, oh, well, this is what's going to happen, or this is what's going to happen. We had a guy the other day who said he was a content creator who got early access, and they were teasing a third character, which I knew that was BS, but a lot of people, they just kind of run with it and go, oh man, maybe we're getting 3 characters and one of them might be Deadpool or something else or whatever, right? That turned out to be BS. We knew that was the case. And like I said, a lot of people do this for clicks and views. They think if they just put some nonsense out there, a bunch of people are going to follow them and start to, pay attention to all their content and stuff, when usually it just deters people. So, like I said, that's just something that regularly happens. It's nothing out of the ordinary. But one thing that I did want to bring up was the other day I did a poll on my channel in the community section, and I kind of do those sporadically. I don't really do them a lot. But it seemed like people really enjoyed this one, where I was just simply asking what people thought that Rogue was going to be. Now, the thing is that there's a leaker on X. I'm sorry, it's called X now, but I call it Twitter. The point is that XOX Leaks, somebody that I regularly have paid attention to and got most of my information from, just because since the game has pretty much came out, they haven't been wrong really about anything. And anything they have been wrong about were like these very, very minute things. But in regards to like what characters we were getting and in what order, what roles they were going to be and all that stuff, this individual or this team of people, I don't know if it's an individual or a team of people, but nonetheless, though, they've been correct pretty much every single time. So usually whenever they start saying something and it's getting closer to the season and they're still saying the same exact thing, you can pretty much bet your bottom dollar on it. And like I said, they've yet to be wrong. And we're coming up on a year of the game being out. What is it? End of November or something like that. I think they're having their 1 year anniversary they're doing. So the thing is, the point that I'm making with that is that they've been saying that Rogue was going to be a strategist. Now, I did this poll and I asked if people thought Rogue was going to be a tank or was going to be a strategist. And overwhelmingly, people said that they thought it was going to be a strategist. Now, the thing is that a lot of that is probably just people getting tired of the fact that we haven't had like a real strategist since like Sue Storm or something like that. I mean, we had Ultron, but most people, it's a running joke that he's a DPS, supports clothing, right? So that's not anything like, crazy or whatever that people are kind of saying like, oh, well, it's going to be a strategist, or that Rogue is going to be a strategist. And I have to agree with them. Now, the thing is that I noticed in the comments that a lot of people were really upset by this. A lot of people are going back and forth, and they keep saying, well, Rogue is this in the comic books and people must not pay attention to the comic books and yada, yada, yada. And it's really weird to me that a year into the game, people are still confused about the fact. The problem that NetEase has with this game is that the majority of characters that are already in the game and the majority of characters in the Marvel universe and in superheroes period are either DPS or pretty much tanks. The tanks are a little bit easier because you have a lot of characters that actually are like tanky characters like Thor, the Hulk, et cetera, right? These are characters that you would imagine them to be tanks. But then you have like Doctor Strange. In my opinion, Doctor Strange shouldn't really be a tank, but they made him one simply because you got to make somebody tanks, you got to make somebody DPS, and you got to make someone strategist. You could make the majority of the characters, like I said, outside of characters like Juggernaut, Hulk, Thor, a lot of these other characters that are obviously really big, strong characters, and that's their whole thing. But it's rare that you actually have characters that's just their role is to just heal. And I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying that the majority of superheroes are created to be superheroes and what we would usually align with being a DPS character. And even though Rogue, in my opinion, probably could be a tank just because like she did have Carol Danvers' power sets, like is her permanent power set, being able to fly, super strength, stuff like that, even mixed in with her, main ability to steal other people's powers. That sounds like a tank, right? But when you really think about it, a lot of these characters that are like strategists, for example, they're usually more like DPS people in the comic books. So they had to make some characters change their power sets and stuff to make them align with strategists, or else we really wouldn't have any strategists in the game. And as much as people love to insta-lock DPS or even just play tank over support a lot of times, which I think that's actually kind of changed. I feel like nowadays people would rather play anything except tank for some reason. You can let me know in the comments why you guys think that is, but I've just kind of noticed that transition. Even with that being the case, though, like I said, we still need some people to be supports. And that's kind of the problem when you make a hero shooter and you make it off of characters that aren't like original characters. Like Overwatch, in my opinion, wouldn't really have this issue because they can just make original characters. And not that NetEase can't, but I think we all much prefer to have characters that we know and love from the IP versus getting original characters and stuff. And every now and again, there's exceptions like Luna Snow. I know people always want to bring up Luna Snow. Luna Snow, in my opinion, is an exception. I think we can all sit here and name probably 100 characters that we'd rather see in the game before they even started thinking about making original characters. And I could actually see and probably name 1,000 off the top of the head that I'm just like infinitely. I mean, half of them could just be X-Men. There are so many X-Men alone that it's like they could have just started the game out doing nothing but X-Men characters and got to everything else later on, and we would still be 6-7 years in the game before people would even start to really notice in that sense. But overall, the point that I'm making is that you do have characters like Ultron, where you would have never told me in a million years that Ultron would have been a support. And I still feel like it's kind of weird that he's a support, because when in the comics is Ultron doing anything that's remotely, like healing or anything like that? Maybe his own other like droids and stuff like that, or drones, or whatever you want to call them. But as far as like people and stuff, no, that's not. So, you know what I mean? Loki, the same exact thing. When is Loki doing anything that's like healing for people and stuff? And there may be these rare exceptions here and there and stuff, but overall, these people are not supports, right? But once again, with having a game like this, you kind of have to change stuff around, because we do have different roles. That's the thing. It's not like this is some individual game where it's like what was it, the Marvel Avengers game or whatever that came out not too long ago, where you just pick a character and go into the world and do whatever. Characters have to fit certain roles. In my opinion, Iron Man should be a tank. He's Iron Man, right? Like, so you know what I'm saying? Like the fact that he only has the same amount of health as like people that are flesh and blood, that's just kind of crazy to me. But at the same time, once again, there's roles that you have to put these people into different roles and stuff like that, and make it to where it's still a fun experience for everybody and every role is shown love. And the thing is, too, is like I said, a lot of people that don't play support that are kind of like irritated, like, oh, well, the supports are always complaining and they want this and that and the third. The reason that a lot of people don't like playing support now is because there's just not very many options. And for I understand people say, oh, well, there needs to be more DPS because you need more variety, et cetera, et cetera. Brother, people don't want to sit here and just play so that you can have fun. Other people want to play other roles. I've been on a support strike. I have not played support in like 2 months straight because I played it since the game released up until about 2 months ago. And I just got constantly tired of people acting like support was this like, backseat role kind of thing or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, well, if it's not that important, then you all go and do it. Right. And you don't want people in the community to get that mindset because that will kill the game off. You're not going to want to load into matches and not be able to have people that are motivated to want to play support. So it's better to just eat that sometimes, especially since you all get a new DPS every season. If you haven't noticed the trend, it's like we get a support or a tank and then we get a DPS consistently. There's not a time where the DPS aren't eating and having the time of their life, whereas other roles kind of just get whatever they get and they're getting the scraps. So that's just kind of my opinion on it. And the other thing too is that I was thinking about, I don't know if you guys noticed in the thumbnail, but the Savage Land skin for Rogue, a lot of people are speculating that might be the skin that we get. Is usually we get like a skin that comes with the character, like a premium skin or whatever. You get the base skin obviously, and you get the premium skin. And a lot of people are saying that they're going to do the same thing they did with Sue Storm, Invisible Woman, where we got her Malice skin. And because obviously, I mean, who doesn't like the Savage Land skin? It's probably one of the best, not skins, but one of the best ways that they've presented Rogue in the comments as far as what a lot of people like to refer to as the Gooner skins and stuff. And we already know they drop a skin that looks like the Savage Land skin for Rogue, they're going to be printing money, literally. So that's why I slapped that one on the thumbnail right there, because I just think that's probably realistically what they would do. If they didn't, I would be really surprised, because that's kind of one of the just main things with this game that, I mean, come on. You know how many people I know that bought the Malice skin and never even played Sue Storm? I've done it with other characters. I got the all the swimsuit skins, and I don't even play half those characters. The one for Psylocke, the one for Luna Snow. Two characters that I don't even really play like that. I mean, I play Psylocke sometimes, but not regularly, though. And Luna, I've probably count on one hand how many times I've actually used Luna Snow as far as support. I probably played everybody except her and like Adam Warlock, pretty much in this game pretty regularly. So that's just my opinion on it. But I am curious to know what you all think and to hear your opinions in the comments on what you think is going on. Do you think people are just tweaking out? Do you think there might be some issues behind the scenes that are going on? Because this is kind of irregular. So it wouldn't be crazy for people to be speculating and thinking that maybe it might be getting delayed. Maybe there's some other stuff going on behind the scenes. But like I said, though, this isn't an echo chamber. I'd love to hear what you all think in the comment section. And as soon as they do post the trailer, I will make a video breaking that down and talking about it and stuff, because I'm sure there will be a lot of interesting things in there and things like that. So, but yeah, I'm going to wrap it up for this video. That's pretty much all I got. I hope you all have a great weekend. I'm Father Dark, and I'll catch you on the next one.